Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Greek ebook before it's gone.
Hi, welcome to Introduction to Greek. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Chrissy. In this series, you'll learn everything you need to know to start learning Greek.
That's right, and we're here to help guide you through your journey. In this lesson, you'll learn the reasons why you should start learning a new language, why you should learn Greek in particular, and how to get started.
So let's start with a question. Why learning new language?
There are many reasons, but perhaps the biggest one of all is that it could actually change your life. Learning a new language unlocks new pathways that are off limits to you now. There are certain things that you simply cannot do without having the technical or cultural skills that come from learning a new language.
Like working or living in another country.
Knowing another language provides you with greater job opportunities. It gives you the freedom to move to another country and earn a living, or even better yet, build a career from it, instead of just being stuck in one place. A second language allows you to visit or live in places that you may never even have considered going. Knowing another language simply gives you more options to choose from.
And learning a new language also helps you to be more open-minded and see the world from a new perspective.
If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his own language, that goes to his heart.
These words of wisdom come from Nelson Mandela.
And he was right. Language and culture go hand in hand. The world is a big place. By broadening your understanding of other cultures, you become more empathetic and understanding of the many different ways that people live their lives. By speaking an extra language, you're able to see and experience more, which helps you grow as a person.
Learning a new language also improves your memory.
Several studies have consistently shown that those who study another language have improved memory as opposed to those who didn't learn another language. Learning another language also keeps your brain healthy by significantly delaying the onset of Alzheimer's and dementia. This difference can be as much as 4 to 5 more years of quality life.
And those are just some of the reasons why you should learn another language. The list just goes on and on.
Now you know the benefits of studying another language, but why should you learn Greek in particular?
Did you know that by speaking English, you already speak more Greek than you think?
Words such as dynamite, android, encyclopedia, octopus, and air come from Greek. Actually, around 25 to 30% of all English words come from Greek, either directly or indirectly. So you should be able to understand quite a large number of Greek words already. And English is not the only language that has been influenced by Greek. Other European languages have been influenced too. So if you're learning Greek, you'll improve your English vocabulary and have a better understanding of the English language and other European languages.
Have you ever thought of traveling or moving to Greece?
As a visitor or expat, you'll discover that the country is very tourist-friendly. Most Greeks speak some English. However, if you speak Greek, you could communicate with the locals and experience the culture more profoundly. For example, you'll be able to understand the unique temperament and sense of humor that Greeks have. After all, they invented comedy.
Speaking of comedy, how about watching an ancient Greek comedy or tragedy in one of the ancient theaters in Greece? That is a unique experience.
Ancient drama is always alive in Greece, especially in the summers. It's almost a tradition for Greek directors to present their versions of ancient drama works in modern Greek. The works can be either adapted and have a modern approach, or they can follow the typical classical path. Tickets are usually sold out, so it's a must-live experience that is only more enjoyable if you understand Greek.
My two favorite ancient Greek theaters are, first, the one in Epidaurus for its amazing acoustics, and second, the Odeon of Herodes Atticus in Athens for its beautiful view of the Parthenon that stands right above it.
Greece has a very rich tradition in theater. But apart from that, perhaps you want to learn Greek so you can understand Greek music, movies, TV series, and literature.
Two of our greatest writers have been awarded with the Nobel Prize for Literature, Yorgos Seferis and Odysseas Elitis.
Their works, as well as the works of many other great Greek writers, have been translated to English. But the only way to really appreciate the beauty of their original words is to learn Greek.
Some Greek poems are so beautiful that they have been set to music by well-known composers like Mikis Theodorakis. His songs form an inextricable part of modern Greek culture. If you have a genuine interest in the Greek culture and civilization, these are just some of the reasons why you should learn Greek.
Okay then, we've talked about why you should start learning a language and why you should start learning Greek, but how should they get started, Chrissy?
Well, it's as simple as learning your first word in Greek and building up from there.
But like we said at the beginning, you already know some Greek.
Βιολογία, αστροναύτης, μικροσκόπιο.
These are words that have made their way into English, but the reverse is also true. Many English words have also made their way into Greek.
Video clip, chips, basketball.
So on top of some Greek that you already know, there are even more words in the Greek language that will sound familiar to you.
Now let's teach you something that you might not know, but which is very useful. Ευχαριστώ. It means thank you in Greek.
That's a useful phrase. Can you tell us a little more about these letters?
The Roman alphabet, which English uses, comes from the Greek alphabet. So some letters look identical, especially in uppercase. Ευχαριστώ. Each letter represents a unique sound, but sometimes some letter combinations create different sounds.
You'll learn the Greek writing system eventually, but for now, let's put up some romanization to help you get started.
Ευχαριστώ.
That certainly makes things much easier to learn. Okay, now listen and repeat after Chrissy.
Ευχαριστώ.
Now you try.
Ευχαριστώ.
Your turn again.
Ευχαριστώ.
Well done. Now you know how to say thank you in Greek. We've covered a lot of things already, so why don't we wrap up the first lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, you learned that studying another language has many benefits, such as making you more cultured and improving your memory. Greece has a colorful history, with many things for you to see and learn. And to say thank you in Greek, it's
Ευχαριστώ.
See you in the next lesson. Bye!
Bye.
Hi! Welcome to Introduction to Greek. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Chrissy.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Greek pronunciation. Pronunciation refers to the manner in which a word is spoken, so don't focus on reading what's on screen. Instead, focus on listening and repeating. One of the aspects of a language is rhythm. Modern Greek is a mixed rhythm language with characteristics varying between those of syllable-timed and stress-timed languages. In syllable-timed languages, all syllables have equal duration, while in stress-timed languages like English, some syllables are longer and some are shorter. Spanish. Spanish.
Now let's hear a Greek word. Όμορφος. Όμορφος.
Another aspect of a language is intonation. Did you notice the accent mark above the first letter? There is only one type of accent mark in modern Greek, the acute accent. It adds stress to a syllable. A stressed syllable usually lasts longer and has a slightly higher pitch than the rest. Other than pitch accents, there is no pitch system in Greek, like in Chinese, for example, where different tones define the meaning of words. Let's listen to that again.
Όμορφος. Όμορφος.
There's a golden rule in Greek concerning accents. The accent mark can only go on one of the three last syllables of a word. Let's see this in a longer word.
Ομορφόπεδο. Ομορφόπεδο.
This word, as well as the previous one, share the same root. However, the accent mark had to be moved over to a different syllable in order to comply with our accentuation golden rule. By the way, did you notice that although this word is longer than the previous one, it feels as if the syllables are pronounced faster?
Όμορφος. Ομορφόπεδο.
In general, you need to keep in mind that the duration of any syllable depends on whether the syllable is stressed and on the length of the word. Additionally, an unstressed syllable may have a different duration depending on its position relative to the stressed syllable. For example, in the second word, Pre-stressed syllables take slightly longer to be pronounced than the post-stressed ones.
Imagine this rhythm is a roller coaster ride. The pre-stressed syllables are like going up to the highest point slowly. The stressed syllable is like waiting at the top for a while. And then the post-stressed syllables are like the very fast fall. Of course, while Greeks speak, these duration differences between syllables are very small and hard to notice. Ομορφόπεδο. Ομορφόπεδο.
Greek is considered a fast-spoken language. Laboratory experiments have shown that a Greek speaker pronounces more syllables per second than an English speaker. There are 5 vowel sounds in Greek that are represented by 7 letters and 4 double vowel combinations.
A, E, I, O, U.
It's really that simple. The vowel sounds in Greek are exactly the same as the vowel sounds in English.
A, E, I, O, U.
Okay, let's move on. There are 34 consonant sounds in Greek that are represented by 17 letters and 6 double consonant combinations. Let's hear them.
V, G, Y, V, Z, F, K, K, L, Y, M, N, N, X, P, R, R, S, T, F, H, Ps, G, Ng, Ng, B, B, P, D, D, T, T, Z.
In the previous lesson, you learned that around 25 to 30% of English words come from Greek, either directly or indirectly, which is quite a lot. But did you also know that apart from the Greek vowels, which are very easy to pronounce, out of the 34 consonant sounds in Greek, you already know 26 of them? That means that if you were to simply imitate a Greek speaker, your pronunciation would be correct most of the time. For example, listen and repeat after Chrissy.
Παρακαλώ. Παρακαλώ.
Chances are your pronunciation was pretty spot on. The P, R, K, and L sounds are practically identical to English. Don't forget that words get accentuated in Greek, so make sure to stress that final syllable with the accent mark. Repeat after Chrissy.
Παρακαλώ. Παρακαλώ.
Since most sounds in Greek are identical to English, you only need to pay attention to the few sounds that are completely new to you. There are only 8 unique Greek consonant sounds that you need to learn to perfect your Greek pronunciation. One of these sounds can be heard in the following word.
Συγγνώμη.
This word is often romanized like this.
Συγγνώμη.
This character isn't pronounced using an English G sound at all.
Γ.
It's like a very soft, continuous, and loosely held G, almost as if you're gargling, but don't make it sound too throaty.
Γ.
There's no such sound in English, but most people would transcribe this using the letter G, because that's the closest equivalent in English. Pronouncing it like an English G, however, would be a huge mistake. To get that sound right, your tongue and the back part of your mouth should be barely separated from each other while you blow a steady stream of air between the small separation. Another approach is to try to pronounce a G as if an H sound were to follow after it and hold that sound while you exhale. The after sound created by that H is what you're looking for. Listen as Chrissy demonstrates. Repeat after her.
Συγγνώμη. Συγγνώμη.
Well done. Let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, you learned that the rhythm of the Greek language is mixed and follows a fast tempo. The accentuation can only go on one of the 3 last syllables. A stressed syllable sounds longer, but the longer the word, the shorter the syllables are pronounced. Pre-stressed syllables are generally longer than post-stressed syllables. Collectively, nearly all the sounds in Greek are identical to the sounds in English. And finally, there are only 8 new sounds that you need to learn. We've covered only the basics of Greek pronunciation. If you're interested in learning more, check out the entire course we created named The Ultimate Guide to Greek Pronunciation. In that course, we cover and break down every single sound in the Greek language, showing you mouth and tongue positioning and giving you tips to help you perfect your Greek pronunciation. In the next lesson, we'll introduce you to the basics of Greek grammar, where you'll learn about Greek word order and how to build basic phrases in Greek. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
Γεια χαρά!
Hi! Welcome to Introduction to Greek. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Chrissy.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Greek grammar. We won't be going into too much depth because it's impossible to condense everything into one short video lesson, but this video will give you a good idea of the main points of Greek grammar. The Greek language has one of the most extensive vocabularies in the world. All Greek words can be categorized into 10 different parts of speech. Furthermore, the Greek parts of speech are separated into inflected and non-inflected.
You might be wondering, what is inflection exactly?
Inflection is the modification of a word to express things such as tense, number, person, and more. The inflection of verbs is called conjugation. The inflection of articles, nouns, adjectives, and pronouns is called declension. When a word is not inflected, it means that its form never changes in speech.
The Greek inflected types of speech are the articles, nouns, adjectives, pronouns, verbs, and participles.
The Greek non-inflected types of speech are the adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, and interjections.
Greek has also some small non-inflected words called particles. However, particles are not considered a part of speech.
In this video, we won't focus on non-inflected words because their use is very straightforward. Instead, we'll focus on declension and conjugation, which are more complex processes. In Greek, articles, nouns, adjectives, pronouns, and the passive voice participles are declinable. That means that they have different forms, just like the English noun cat changes to cats in the plural. The whole set of different forms that a declinable word may present in Greek is called declension.
Or klisi, literally meaning inclination.
And each different form a declinable word may have is called case.
Or ptosi, literally meaning fall.
There are 4 cases in Greek: the nominative, the genitive, the accusative, and the vocative case.
In Greek, the nominative case has always been considered a direct case or orthiptosi, together with the vocative. The genitive and the accusative, on the other hand, were always considered to be oblique cases, or pleies ptosis.
But what do direct and oblique mean here? Well, let's remember the inclination and fall concept for a moment. If you set up a thin stick vertically on the ground, it won't stand, it'll fall. The nominative case, being the direct case or straight case, indicates the form of a word that is the base, the starting point. This is like the moment when the stick is standing straight before it starts falling. Declinable words are always in the nominative form in dictionaries. In ancient times, the vocative was identical to the nominative. So the vocative is still considered a direct case, although today there may be some differences between the two cases. Imagine now that the standing stick starts falling. During the fall, its position constantly changes in relationship to its starting point until it falls flat on the ground. Declinable words change too in relationship to their starting point, the nominative case. So the oblique cases, or bent cases, represent the form of a word that is not the base, like when the stick is already inclined and falling. These are the genitive and the accusative cases. The whole idea of declension, cases, and different forms of the same word may seem strange to an English speaker because English lost its case system almost completely. However, we can still see some declension happening to words, such as the personal pronouns. For example, I, he, she, we, and they can change to me, him, her, us, and them. In the phrase, she loves him, she denotes the subject, while him denotes the object. Similarly, the Greek case system exists in order to indicate certain grammatical relationships among the words of a sentence, like the subject, object, and more. It's actually because of the case system that word order in Greek sentences is relatively flexible. For example, in English, the sentences "the cat eats the mouse" and "the mouse eats the cat" mean different things. By swapping the nouns cat and mouse, the meaning changes completely. However, in Greek, the meaning wouldn't change because the form itself of a word shows us whether it's the subject or the object.
The word order depends on what the speaker wants to emphasize, as the first word gets more attention. So the second sentence is actually more like saying, "It is the mouse that the cat eats."
The grammatical case is the first characteristic of declension. The other two characteristics are gender and number. There are 3 genders in Greek: masculine, feminine, and neuter. All declinable words, including articles, are gendered. For example, in Greek, the definite article the comes in all 3 genders.
O, I, to.
And just like in English, there are singular and plural forms. So in the plural form, the Greek definite articles become
I, ta.
If we also add the forms for each case, then these are all the possible forms a definite article may have in speech. Note that definite articles don't have a vocative case form. Another thing to keep in mind about articles is that they need to have the same case, gender, and number as the words they define. For example, nouns and adjectives. The same goes for all declinable words that define each other. Now let's move on to the conjugation of verbs.
Again, the word conjugation in Greek is called klisi.
Greek verbs are divided into 2 main conjugation groups depending on their main ending. There's conjugation A and conjugation B. Furthermore, conjugation B has 2 subgroups, first and second class. The conjugation group is one of the characteristics of a verb. There are 6 more characteristics that you need to keep in mind: the person, number, mood, tense, voice, and the diathesis. Just like in English, there are 3 persons, first, second, and third, for I, you, and he, she, it. There are 2 numerical forms, singular and plural, and 2 voices, active and passive. As for the tenses, there are 8 tenses in Greek. The present tense, which makes no distinction between the simple or continuous present, the past continuous, the simple past, the future continuous, the simple future, the perfect, the past perfect, and the future perfect tense. Please keep in mind that in Greek, it's not always necessary to add the personal pronoun. That's because unlike English, verbs have a different form for each person, so the verb form itself shows us which person we're talking about. If pronouns are used, those are to make the context more clear or for emphasis.
Next, the mood of a verb has to do with the way the verb is presented. A verb might be presented as something real, that is a fact, as something we expect or wish to happen, or as a command, among others. There are 5 moods in Greek, but we won't go into detail at this moment.
Lastly, diathesis, literally meaning disposition, has to do with the meaning of a verb and the type of action it describes. For example, it might show us that the subject is doing an action, that the subject is acting upon itself, that someone else is acting upon the subject, or that the subject is simply in a particular state. With these basic grammar points in mind, you know what to expect once you start studying Greek grammar.
Now, let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned.
In this lesson, you learned the Greek parts of speech as well as which ones are inflected and which ones are not. We introduced you to the basic characteristics of declension and conjugation. You also learned that due to declension, word order is flexible in Greek. We've covered only the very basics of Greek grammar. If you're interested in more Greek, check out our Greek in 3 Minutes video series. In that course, we teach you useful phrases, and each lesson is only 3 minutes long. In the next lesson, we'll introduce you to the basics of Greek writing. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
Γεια χαρά!
Welcome to Introduction to Greek. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Chrissy.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Greek writing. The Greek alphabet consists of 24 letters. There are 17 consonants and 7 vowels.
Alpha, Vita, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta, Eta, Theta, Iota, Kappa, Lambda, Mi, Ni, Xi, Omicron, Pi, Rho, Sigma, Tav, Epsilon, Phi, Chi, Psi, Omega. There is an uppercase and a lowercase version for each letter, just like in English. However, the letter sigma, which is equivalent to the English S, has an extra lowercase form, which is used only when sigma is the final letter of a word.
The Greek alphabet was the basis for the Roman alphabet, which English uses, so you'll see a lot of similarities between the uppercase Greek and English letters. All uppercase letters are written above the line, just like most lowercase letters. However, there are some lowercase letters that extend a little bit below the line.
These are Vita, Gamma, Zeta, Eta, Mi, Xi, Rho, Phi, Chi, and Psi. Depending on the handwriting of a person, Vita and Eta may also be written completely above the line by shortening their extended lines.
Although Greek can also be handwritten in cursive style, this is not how Greeks usually write, as learning cursive writing is not compulsory at school. When writing in Greek, the order of letters is from left to right, with spaces between the words, just like in English.
For example, το μολύβι μου. The only difference is that Greek uses accent marks over the stressed syllables.
The main punctuation marks include the period, the comma, the exclamation mark, the question mark, which actually looks like an English semicolon, and the quotation marks. The Greek semicolon, which is literally called upper dot in Greek, is a dot that is placed at mid-letter height.
After an upper dot, the next word doesn't need to be capitalized. But after a period, an exclamation mark, and a question mark, you should capitalize the first letter of a new sentence, just like you would do in English.
Over the last few years, the internet and smartphones have become an important part of our lives. As the need for communication through text messages has increased, this inevitably has affected the way Greeks type in their own language.
If you have any Greek friends in your social media, perhaps you've noticed that occasionally some of them might type Greek words using the English alphabet instead of the Greek. This hybrid is called Greeklish, and it's a bad habit that you should not make your own.
The excuse for this is that typing with English letters is much faster than typing in Greek because one doesn't have to add the accent marks. It also camouflages spelling mistakes.
Despite saving time, however, Greeklish makes reading a sentence much harder for Greeks, especially on longer texts. Sometimes reading too much Greeklish makes even native speakers forget how words are properly spelled. Overall, it gives a bad impression. The reason we are mentioning Greeklish is just in case you saw it somewhere and were wondering about it.
So if you're serious about learning how to read and write Greek, you should stick to the Greek alphabet and to proper writing.
But even when using the Greek alphabet, you might see other bad writing habits on social media. For example, some people write in uppercase letters only, or write normally but without any accent marks. Some people also seem to be using the English question mark instead of the Greek one, or the English quotation marks instead of the Greek ones. Please do not do any of those things when writing in Greek.
Okay, let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, you learned the Greek alphabet and how the letters are written in relation to each other and to the line. You learned some basic punctuation marks, as well as what bad writing habits you should absolutely avoid.
We've covered the very basics of Greek writing. Check out our Greek Alphabet Made Easy series to learn more about the Greek alphabet, the letter combinations, the Greek punctuation, and how to handwrite each letter.
In the next lesson, you'll be entering Greek Boot Camp, where you'll learn useful beginner phrases to get you speaking Greek right away. See you in the next lesson. Bye!
Γεια χαρά!
Welcome to Introduction to Greek. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Chrissy.
In this lesson, we'll focus on teaching you the most useful Greek words and phrases for absolute beginners.
Make sure you're repeating the words out loud after I say the examples.
Are you ready? Let's get started. The best phrase to learn when studying a new language is one that expresses gratitude and appreciation. If you had to learn only a single phrase, this would be it.
We taught you this word in the first lesson of this series. Do you remember what it was? Ευχαριστώ. It means thank you. Ευχαριστώ.
Keep repeating after Chrissy until you get it.
Ευχαριστώ.
Your turn.
Ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστώ.
Do you remember this mark here? We talked about it in lesson 2. It's the accent mark, and it indicates that this syllable is stressed. A stressed syllable is pronounced slightly longer and at a higher pitch than the rest of the syllables in a word. Listen again to how Chrissy is pronouncing this word and repeat.
Ευχαριστώ.
Okay, the next phrase we'll teach you is perhaps the second most useful of all phrases. It's to apologize or to excuse yourself.
We taught you this phrase in lesson 2. Do you remember what it was? Συγγνώμη, and it means excuse me or I'm sorry. Συγγνώμη.
Use this phrase when you want to grab a waiter's attention or when you're hustling through the busy streets of Athens.
Συγγνώμη.
Your turn.
Συγγνώμη.
Imagine you're on the street and you want to stop someone to ask them for directions. What do you say?
Συγγνώμη.
Okay, one last time.
Συγγνώμη.
Now you can say thank you, excuse me, and I'm sorry in Greek. Let's move on. Asking where something is an incredibly important and useful phrase to learn. You're going to need this when asking where the toilet, the metro station, or where the hotel is. To ask where something is, you need to add an article in one of the 3 genders, plus the name of the place or location after this phrase here.
Πού είναι?
For example, you want to ask, where is the toilet? You need to use the feminine article because the word toilet, which the article defines, is feminine in Greek.
Πού είναι η τουαλέτα?
When you first start learning Greek, don't worry too much about mixing up the gender of articles. This is something you learn with time and a lot of study. Plus, Greeks will understand your question well enough no matter what. Next, for the metro station, it'll be...
Πού είναι ο σταθμός του μετρό?
And so on. You can ask where something is by simply starting with...
Πού είναι? Πού means where. Είναι translates to is. Remember that what looks like an English semicolon is actually a question mark in Greek.
Altogether, it's...
Πού είναι?
Your turn.
Πού είναι? Πού είναι?
Okay, now let's teach you some vocabulary so that you can use it in the sentence. Here are some of the most common words you'll need to learn alongside their articles.
Η τουαλέτα.
The toilet.
Η τουαλέτα. Πού είναι η τουαλέτα?
Next,
Ο σταθμός του μετρό.
the metro station.
Ο σταθμός του μετρό. Πού είναι ο σταθμός του μετρό?
If you ask someone this question, they'll direct you to the closest metro station. If you'd like to ask where a specific metro station is, like the Acropolis metro station, for example, simply place the station name after metro station.
Ο σταθμός του μετρό. Ο σταθμός του μετρό Ακρόπολη. Πού είναι ο σταθμός του μετρό Ακρόπολη?
Next,
Το ξενοδοχείο.
the hotel.
Το ξενοδοχείο. Πού είναι το ξενοδοχείο?
For a specific hotel, do the same thing as a metro station. Just place the name after hotel.
Το ξενοδοχείο. Το ξενοδοχείο Hilton. Πού είναι το ξενοδοχείο Hilton?
Next,
Το σούπερ μάρκετ.
the supermarket.
Το σούπερ μάρκετ. Πού είναι το σούπερ μάρκετ?
You can substitute almost anything and simply put
Πού είναι?
At the beginning of your sentence, to ask where something is in Greek. In this final lesson, you learned how to say thank you, excuse me, I'm sorry, and how to ask where something is in Greek. And in this series, we introduce you to the basics of Greek pronunciation, grammar, writing, and more. Let's conclude with some parting advice from Chrissy and listen to some of her tips on how to learn Greek from a native Greek perspective.
First of all, if you want to improve your pronunciation and communication skills, try not to fit all Greek sounds onto those of the English alphabet. One effective way to initially master Greek pronunciation is to watch and study contemporary Greek videos. That's because we often use expressions and hand gestures in daily conversations that aren't necessarily introduced in grammar textbooks. Secondly, don't rely on romanization too much. The biggest mistake that I often see is learners using English letters instead of the Greek alphabet. Although romanization is helpful, it might not represent the exact sounds of Greek, since for some consonant sounds, we only have a rough equivalent in English. One such example is the word gata, meaning cat. This is usually romanized with an initial G letter, but it is not pronounced gata. The first consonant is softer, gata. Watching contemporary videos such as our videos here at GreekPod101.com will ensure that you are learning real, applicable Greek in the fastest and most effective way.
You've reached the end of this course, Introduction to Greek, but it's only the beginning of your journey to Greek fluency. Where do you go from here? Try our Greek in 3 Minutes series, where we teach you beginner vocab and even more useful phrases. Or check out any of our other video series. We have many different categories for you to choose from. Good luck as you continue learning Greek, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!
Γεια χαρά! Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Χαίρομαι πολύ. Hi, I'm Chrissy. Pleased to meet you. In this series, we are going to learn basic Greek expressions. It is super easy and it only takes 3 minutes. In this lesson, you are going to learn how to introduce yourself in Greek. There are only 2 sentences you need to do it. But first, it is important to clarify that in Greek, there is a difference between formal and informal language. Let's first see how Greek people introduce themselves in an informal situation. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Χαίρομαι πολύ. Hi, I'm Chrissy. Pleased to meet you. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Χαίρομαι πολύ. Start by saying γεια, λέγομαι, then say your name. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Finally, say χαίρομαι πολύ. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Χαίρομαι πολύ. And now, let's see the same sentence in formal speech. Χαίρετε, λέγομαι Χρυσή Παπαδοπούλου. Χαίρομαι πολύ για τη γνωριμία. Hello, my name is Chrissy Papadopoulou. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Χαίρετε, λέγομαι Χρυσή Παπαδοπούλου. Χαίρομαι πολύ για τη γνωριμία. So what has changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a close look at this together. Ya has been substituted with the formal greeting χαίρετε, Greek for rejoice. Λέγομαι Χρυσή has not been changed. Λέγομαι stands in both cases for my name is. However, during a formal self-introduction, we also say our last name. So I said Χρυσή Παπαδοπούλου. Here, you would say your full name. Finally, there is one more change to the ending. We added the words για τη γνωριμία to the phrase χαίρομαι πολύ. In informal cases, we can just say χαίρομαι πολύ, literally, I'm happy or pleased. But in formal cases, it's good to add για τη γνωριμία, which is Greek for the acquaintance. or in this case, your acquaintance. One more time. The informal way to introduce yourself in Greek is "Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή, χαίρο πολύ." The formal way to introduce yourself is "Χαίρετε, λέγομαι Χρυσή Παπαδοπούλου, χαίρο πολύ για τη γνωριμία." Now it's time for Chris's insights. Greek people usually shake hands when they meet someone, sometimes extremely vigorously. So accompany your introduction with your best firm handshake. And if you're not sure if you have to use the formal or the informal greeting, the informal greeting "Χαίρο πολύ" is not considered rude. It is acceptable and used widely even in formal situations. Do you know how we say thank you in Greek? You'll learn how to say this and many other words in the next lesson. Θα τα ξαναπούμε στο επόμενο μάθημα. See you then! Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Greek. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. Είστε έτοιμοι? Are you ready? Ξεκινάμε, so let's start. There are several ways to thank someone. Let's start with the easiest. It is just one word. Ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστώ means thanks. When saying thanks very much, you just need to add πολύ. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Πολύ means a lot, so ευχαριστώ πολύ is like saying thanks very much. During the last lesson, we talked about both the informal and the formal way of speaking Greek. Ευχαριστώ is a casual way to thank someone. If you want to be more formal, there is another phrase you should use. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ or σε ευχαριστώ πολύ. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ or σε ευχαριστώ πολύ. Let's break this phrase down. The σε or σας before ευχαριστώ πολύ literally means you in the second person singular and the second person plural, which is the form used for being formal in Greek. In the plain ευχαριστώ there is no you included, but here we use it and make the phrase sound more polite. Depending on the formality of the situation, we will use σε or σας. How do you answer? It's easy. There are basically two different ways to do it. The first is τίποτα. Τίποτα. Τίποτα literally means it's nothing, but it is the equivalent of you are welcome. The other way to say you're welcome is the expression παρακαλώ. Παρακαλώ. Literally, this phrase means I beg or please, but it has become a common and polite way to respond to someone thanking you. So when someone says ευχαριστώ to you, we can simply reply with τίποτα or παρακαλώ. Now it's time for Chris's insights. If you're not sure about whether to use ευχαριστώ or σας ευχαριστώ πολύ, keeping it simple is always your safest bet. You don't have to worry about formal or informal situations. Ευχαριστώ can be used with just about anyone, anywhere, and at any time. Do you know what addio means? In our next lesson, you'll learn this and other greetings in Greek. Addio και ευχαριστώ. Ραντεβού στο επόμενο μάθημα. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last lesson, we learned how to be grateful to people by saying ευχαριστώ. In this lesson, we'll learn some of the most common greetings used in Greece. Είστε έτοιμοι? Are you ready? Ξεκινάμε, so let's start. The most used informal greeting is ya. Ya. Ya means hi, hello, or goodbye. We use it when we meet, but also when we leave. We should only use this greeting with friends or relatives. If you want to be more formal, you need to pay attention to the time of day. The most common phrase is kalimera. Kalimera. Literally, kalimera means good day. However, we may also interpret it as good morning or good afternoon. As a rule of thumb, we can use kalimera only during the daytime, from morning until early afternoon. During the late afternoon and evening, we say kalispera. Kalispera. Espera or spera is ancient Greek for the part of the day after sunset. So kalispera means good afternoon or good evening. Kalimera and kalispera are used when we meet someone, but when we leave, we don't say them again. In this formal situation, Greek people use adio. Adio. Adio means goodbye. If you're leaving after around 8 p.m., you can say kalinichta, which literally means good night. Kalinichta. Finally, it is very common in Greek to use the informal hi we introduced in the beginning of this lesson as a parting greeting as well. Ya. Ya. Now you can greet people in many different ways in Greek. Let's review them all again. When greeting in an informal situation, we say ya. When greeting in a formal situation, we say kalimera or kalispera. When leaving in a formal situation, adio. When leaving in an informal situation, ya. It's easy, isn't it? Now it's time for Chris's insights. In formal situations, Greek people commonly greet each other by shaking hands. On the other hand, if we meet someone we are very friendly with, we kiss each other on both cheeks. Don't be afraid to do it with your Greek friends. It's normal. During the next lesson, we'll learn the meaning of the phrase «Μιλάτε αγγλικά». Do you already know it? We'll be waiting to talk about it with you in our next Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά lesson. Γεια! Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last lesson, we learned the most common forms of greetings in Greek. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we are going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you are asking it in Greek, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you're saying, even if their answer is no. Here is the informal way to say it. Μιλάς αγγλικά. Μιλάς αγγλικά. Μιλάς is to speak, and αγγλικά is English. In Greek, verbs change depending on who the subject is. The word μιλάς is conjugated from the verb μιλάω, which means to speak. By the ending s, we understand this is the second person singular. This is the informal way to say you speak. You will notice that the personal pronoun itself, the word you, is missing. This happens very often in Greek. Because the verb ending changes depending on the subject, you don't need to actually say the subject in order to be understood. To learn how to properly conjugate omega verbs like μιλάω, please look at our Absolute Beginner series on GreekPod101.com. You can find very detailed grammar lessons and resources there. We are now going to make this sentence formal. This is done by using the formal version of you, which is εσείς. If we change the word for you, we will conjugate μιλάω differently. It becomes μιλάτε. Everything else stays the same. Μιλάτε αγγλικά. Μιλάτε αγγλικά. Adding συγγνώμη, excuse me, the sentence becomes even more polite. Συγγνώμη, μιλάτε αγγλικά? Συγγνώμη, μιλάτε αγγλικά? The responses you will receive could be one of these three. Ναι, yes. Ναι. Λίγο, a little. Λίγο. Όχι, δεν μιλάω αγγλικά. No, I don't speak English. Όχι, δεν μιλάω αγγλικά. Since this last one is a negative statement, we need to say then or the before the verb μιλάω. Here you can also notice what we mentioned before. The personal pronoun εγώ, that is, I, is not used since the ending of the verb shows that it is the first person. Now it's time for Chris's insights. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can obviously use this question with any language you need. Greek people study other European languages, so maybe you will get lucky. Just substitute Αγγλικά with Italica for Italian, Ρώσικα for Russian, Hispanica for Spanish, Germanica for German. In this lesson, we mentioned the expression συγγνώμη. But did you know that this could also be used as an apology? In the next lesson, we will learn this and other ways to apologize in Greek. It's never too late to show your good manners with Greek people. I'll see you in our next Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά lesson. Γεια! Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last lesson, we learned the phrase συγγνώμη, μιλάτε αγγλικά? Excuse me, do you speak English? We mentioned the word συγγνώμη, which means excuse me in Greek. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use συγγνώμη and other words when apologizing in Greek. We should use συγγνώμη in formal situations such as when we are ordering something in bars or restaurants. For example, συγγνώμη, ένα καφέ παρακαλώ. Excuse me, a coffee please. We can also use it when asking a question. συγγνώμη, πού είναι η Ακρόπολη? Excuse me, where is the Acropolis? Sometimes we also hear people say παρακαλώ, which literally means please or I beg, but means the same thing as συγγνώμη when you want to draw somebody's attention. We always use this phrase in formal speech. Παρακαλώ. The informal way to say excuse me is με συγχωρείτε. Με συγχωρείτε. Just like συγγνώμη, we can use με συγχωρείτε when asking a question or when apologizing. All of these phrases can be used for either excuse me or I'm sorry. But if you really want to apologize for something, it might be better to use a different phrase. That phrase is λυπάμαι. It means I'm sorry or I'm sad and can be used in both formal and informal situations. Λυπάμαι. Like in other cases we have seen, the verb λυπάμαι, I'm sad or I'm sorry, is used without the personal pronoun εγώ, I. By just saying the verb, the listener understands you are talking about yourself. Now it's time for Chris's insights. Please remember that in Greece, if you accidentally bump into someone, you don't say, I'm sorry, λυπάμαι. Instead, we say συγγνώμη, excuse me, or με συγχωρείτε, forgive me. Are you able to count in Greek? In the next lesson, we will learn the numbers in Greek from 1 to 10. I'll be waiting for you in our next Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. Θα τα ξαναπούμε στο επόμενο μάθημα. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά, the fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In our last lesson, we learned how to use συγγνώμη, με συγχωρείτε, and λυπάμαι when apologizing in Greek. In this lesson, we are going to learn something even more practical, how to count from 1 to 10 in Greek. And we'll learn them all in 3 minutes. 3 λεπτά. Are you ready? Let's start. 1. Ένα. 2. Δύο. 3. Τρία. 4. Τέσσερα. 5. Πέντε. 6. Έξι. 7. 7. 8. 8. 9. 9. 10. 10. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Great job! What is before ένα? Do you know? Yes, it's 0. In Greek, it's μηδέν. Μηδέν. So now, you can count pretty much anything and do other useful stuff like giving your friends your cell phone number and writing down theirs. Let's see how to do that in Greek. We'll use the phrase «Ο αριθμός μου είναι», which means «my number is». Ο αριθμός μου είναι. Ο αριθμός μου είναι 6, 9, 7, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 0. Can you read it by yourself? 6, 9, 7, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 0. Okay? Great! Now it's time for Chrissy's insights. Like most words in Greek, numbers are gender sensitive. The numbers we learn today are used when counting neuter objects. The masculine and feminine numbers are almost the same, but with slight differences for the numbers 1 through 4. We won't get into this for now, since with the neuter numbers, you can do most things. Even if you use the wrong gender, Greeks will understand you. Do you know the Greek word for 100? If you don't worry. In the next lesson, we are going to learn the numbers from 11 to 100 in Greek. Your task now is to practice the numbers we studied in this lesson from 1 to 10. I'll be waiting for you in our next Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά lesson. Θα τα ξαναπούμε στο επόμενο μάθημα. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά, the fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last lesson, we learned the numbers from 1 to 10. Have you forgotten? Here, I'll tell you again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now let's continue from 11. 11. 11. 12. 12. 13. 13. 14. 14. 15, 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19. And finally, we have 20, 20. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. These numbers may seem harder to remember, but you really just have to memorize 11, 12, and 20. All other numbers are a combination of 10, which means 10, and the numbers from 3 to 9. It's like saying 10, 3, 10, 4, etc. Let's not stop at 20. Counting to 100 is super easy. Now I'll give you the tens. 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60, 60, 70, 70, 80, 80, 90, 90, 100, 100. You will have to memorize these numbers, but the good news is creating compound numbers is very easy. They are formed by putting the tens in front of the single digits. This means, for example, that 34 is 34 and 87 is 87. Yes, that's right. Exactly like English. Let's try those combinations. 34, 30, 4, 87, 87. Got it? I told you it was really easy. Now it's time for Chrissy's Insights. The pronunciation we have used in this and the previous lesson is the standard pronunciation for numbers. Sometimes, though, especially in casual conversation, Greeks also use efta instead of epta, ochto instead of okto, and enea instead of enea. So if you notice someone using these words, don't be surprised. They're exactly the same as the ones you have learned. Actually, yours are more correct. After only 2 lessons, you are now able to count to 100 in Greek. Isn't that great? So let's go to the next lesson and see how we can use these numbers in their natural environment. That is, shopping. I'll be waiting for you in our next Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά lesson. Θα τα ξαναπούμε στο επόμενο μάθημα. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last 2 lessons, we learned how to count in Greek from 1 to 100. I hope you spend some time practicing the numbers because they will come in handy in this lesson. Why? Because we will learn how to go shopping in Greece. Before we go, you need to know how to say how much is it. Πόσο κάνει? Πόσο κάνει? Are you ready to go shopping in Greece? Let's go! You see something you like and want to ask the shopkeeper how much it costs. The first thing to say is παρακαλώ. Do you remember what that means? It means please, usually, but in this situation it means excuse me. Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτό? Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτό? The word αυτό we use in this phrase means it or this. We don't actually say the name of the object. If we want to be more specific, we must know if the object is feminine, masculine, or neuter, convert the word αυτό accordingly, and add the object itself. Let's say we are asking about a hat or a καπέλο. In Greek, a hat is neuter, so we will use the phrase αυτό το καπέλο. Let's try it. Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτό το καπέλο? Excuse me, how much is this hat? Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτό το καπέλο? And skirt is a feminine noun. Φούστα. Let's try that too. Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτή η φούστα? Excuse me, how much is this skirt? Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτή η φούστα? Finally, let's also try a masculine noun, like a lighter, αναπτήρας. Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτός ο αναπτήρας? Excuse me, how much is this lighter? Παρακαλώ, πόσο κάνει αυτός ο αναπτήρας? At this point, the shopkeeper will answer by saying the price like 15 ευρώ or 20 ευρώ. The word euro means, of course, euro, and as for the number, you already know that, don't you? In case you have forgotten, 15 means 15, and 20 means 20. Now it's time for Chris's insights. Even though it is not very polite, the fastest way to ask how much something costs is by saying the word αυτό, meaning it, and adding the word πόσο, meaning how much, like this, αυτό πόσο. In this case, even though you're using the neuter it, αυτό, you can also use it with masculine and feminine nouns. If you don't know the object's gender or you are in a hurry, you can do this. Greeks do it all the time. At this point, can you count euros in Greek? We are going to learn how to do this in the next lesson. After that, you'll have no excuse for not going out on a shopping spree in Greece. I'll be waiting for you in our next ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά lesson. Θα τα ξαναπούμε στο επόμενο μάθημα. Hi everybody, my name is Chrissy. Welcome to the 2000 Core Greek Words and Phrases video series. Each lesson will help you learn new words, practice, and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is ασήμαντος, insignificant. Ασήμαντος, ασήμαντος, insignificant. Ασήμαντο ποσό, insignificant amount. Ασήμαντο ποσό. Διάσημος, famous. Διάσημος, διάσημος, famous. Διάσημος ηθοποιός, famous actor. Διάσημος ηθοποιός. Φτερνίζομαι. Sneeze. Φτερνίζομαι. Φτερνίζομαι. Sneeze. Η γυναίκα φτερνίζεται. The woman is sneezing. Η γυναίκα φτερνίζεται. Ανεπίσημος. Casual. Ανεπίσημος. Ανεπίσημος. Casual. Ανεπίσημα ρούχα. Casual clothing. Ανεπίσημα ρούχα. Κιθάρα. Guitar. Κιθάρα. Κιθάρα. Guitar. Παίζεις πολύ καλά κιθάρα. You play the guitar very well. Παίζεις πολύ καλά κιθάρα. Αναπνέω. Breathe. Αναπνέω. Αναπνέω. Breathe. Αναπνέω βαθιά. Breathe deeply. Αναπνέω βαθιά. Φτύνω. Spit. Φτύνω. Φτύνω. Spit. Μη φτύνετε. Don't spit. Μη φτύνετε. Οδοντίατρος. Dentist. Οδοντίατρος. Οδοντίατρος. Dentist. Εργάζομαι ως οδοντίατρος, αλλά θέλω πραγματικά να γίνω συγγραφέας. I work as a dentist, but I really want to be a writer. Εργάζομαι ως οδοντίατρος, αλλά θέλω πραγματικά να γίνω συγγραφέας. Κοιλότητα. Cavity. Κοιλότητα. Κοιλότητα. Cavity. Βαθιά κοιλότητα. Deep cavity. Βαθιά κοιλότητα. Άσθμα. 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 Συσκευή εισπνοής φαρμάκου για το άσθμα. Asthma inhaler. Συσκευή εισπνοής φαρμάκου για το άσθμα. Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. First, you will hear a word or phrase in English. Respond in Greek, then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say insignificant? Ασήμαντος. Ασήμαντος. And how to say famous? Διάσημος. Διάσημος. What about sneeze? Φτερνίζομαι. Φτερνίζομαι. Do you remember how to say casual? Ανεπίσημος. Ανεπίσημος. Let's try guitar. Κιθάρα. Κιθάρα. What about breathe? Αναπνέω. Αναπνέω. Now let's see if you remember how to say spit. Φτύνω. Φτύνω. Another one. What about dentist? Οδοντίατρος. Οδοντίατρος. Do you remember how to say cavity? Κοιλότητα. Κοιλότητα. And finally, do you remember how to say asthma? Asthma. Asthma. Well done. See you next time. Addio. Hi everybody, my name is Chrissy. Welcome to the 2000 Core Greek Words and Phrases video series. Its lesson will help you learn new words, practice and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is αλλεργία. Allergy. Αλλεργία. Αλλεργία. Allergy. Αλλεργία στη γύρι. Allergy to pollen. Αλλεργία στη γύρι. Κάρτα επιβίβασης. Boarding pass. Κάρτα επιβίβασης. Κάρτα επιβίβασης. Boarding pass. Την κάρτα επιβίβασης παρακαλώ. Boarding pass, please. Την κάρτα επιβίβασης παρακαλώ. Εκπαίδευση. Education. Εκπαίδευση. Εκπαίδευση. Education. Εκπαίδευση και κατάρτιση. Education and training. Εκπαίδευση και κατάρτιση. Αγγλικά. English. Αγγλικά. Αγγλικά. English. Ο κύριος Σουζούκι διδάσκει αγγλικά. Mr. Suzuki teaches English. Ο κύριος Σουζούκι διδάσκει αγγλικά. Νόμος. Law. Νόμος. Νόμος. Law. Αυστηρός νόμος. Strict law. Αυστηρός νόμος. Φλάουτο. Flute. Φλάουτο. Φλάουτο. Flute. Ασημί φλάουτο. Silver flute. Ασημί φλάουτο. Τμήμα πληροφορικής. IT department. Τμήμα πληροφορικής. Τμήμα πληροφορικής. IT department. Κάλεσε το τμήμα πληροφορικής. Call the IT department. Κάλεσε το τμήμα πληροφορικής. Επαγγελματικό ταξίδι. Business trip. Επαγγελματικό ταξίδι. Επαγγελματικό ταξίδι. Business trip. Πηγαίνω επαγγελματικό ταξίδι. Go on a business trip. Πηγαίνω επαγγελματικό ταξίδι. Marketing. 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 Δουλεύω στο marketing. I work in marketing. Δουλεύω στο marketing. Δημοφιλής. Popular. Δημοφιλής. Δημοφιλής. Popular. Δημοφιλής άντρας. Popular man. Δημοφιλής άντρας. Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. First, you'll hear a word or phrase in English. Respond in Greek, then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say allergy? Αλλεργία. Αλλεργία. And how to say boarding pass? Κάρτα επιβίβασης. Κάρτα επιβίβασης. What about education? Εκπαίδευση. Εκπαίδευση. Do you remember how to say English? Αγγλικά. Αγγλικά. Let's try law. Νόμος. Νόμος. What about flute? Flauto. Flauto. Now let's see if you remember how to say IT department. Τμήμα πληροφορικής. Τμήμα πληροφορικής. Another one. What about business trip? Επαγγελματικό ταξίδι. Επαγγελματικό ταξίδι. Do you remember how to say marketing? Marketing. Marketing. And finally, do you remember how to say popular? Δημοφιλής. Δημοφιλής. Well done. See you next time. Adio. Hi everybody, my name is Chrissy. Welcome to the 2000 Core Greek Words and Phrases video series. Each lesson will help you learn new words, practice and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is λογιστική. Accounting. Λογιστική. Λογιστική. Accounting. Σπουδάζω λογιστική. I study accounting. Σπουδάζω λογιστική. Δώρο. Bonus. Δώρο. Δώρο. Bonus. Το δώρο των Χριστουγέννων. Christmas bonus. Το δώρο των Χριστουγέννων. Ελαφρύς. Light. Ελαφρύς. Ελαφρύς. light. Ελαφρύ σαν πούπουλο. Light as a feather. Ελαφρύ σαν πούπουλο. Τρομπόνι. Trombone. Τρομπόνι. Τρομπόνι. Trombone. Πες το τρομπόνι. Play the trombone. Παίζω τρομπόνι. Αναχώρηση. Departure. Αναχώρηση. Αναχώρηση. Departure. Ημερομηνία αναχώρησης. Departure date. Ημερομηνία αναχώρησης. Άφιξη. Arrival. Άφιξη. Άφιξη. Arrival. Πύλη άφιξης. Arrival gate. Πύλη άφιξης. Βιολί. Violin. Βιολί. Βιολί. Violin. Παίζω βιολί. Play the violin. Παίζω βιολί. Γεωεπιστήμες. Earth science. Γεωεπιστήμες. Γεωεπιστήμες. Earth science. Η αδελφή μου δουλεύει στον τομέα των γεωεπιστημών. My sister works in the earth science sector. Η αδελφή μου δουλεύει στον τομέα των γεωεπιστημών. Επιστήμη. Science. Επιστήμη. Επιστήμη. Science. Μελέτη της επιστήμης. Study of science. Μελέτη της επιστήμης. Συνταγή γιατρού. Prescription. Συνταγή γιατρού. Συνταγή γιατρού. Prescription. Ο φαρμακοποιός ζήτησε τη συνταγή γιατρού. The pharmacist asked for their prescription. Ο φαρμακοποιός ζήτησε τη συνταγή γιατρού. Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. First, you will hear a word or phrase in English. Respond in Greek, then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say accounting? Λογιστική. Λογιστική. And how to say bonus? Δώρο. Δώρο. What about light? Ελαφρύς. Ελαφρύς. Do you remember how to say trombone? Τρομπόνι. Τρομπόνι. Let's try departure. Αναχώρηση. Αναχώρηση. What about arrival? Άφιξη. άφιξη. Now let's see if you remember how to say violin. Βιολί. Βιολί. Another one. What about earth science? Γεωεπιστήμες. Γεωεπιστήμες. Do you remember how to say science? Επιστήμη. Επιστήμη. And finally, do you remember how to say prescription? Συνταγή γιατρού. Συνταγή γιατρού. Well done. See you next time. Adio. Hi everybody, my name is Chrissy. Welcome to the 2000 Core Greek Words and Phrases video series. Each lesson will help you learn new words, practice and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is αποσκευή. Luggage. Αποσκευή. Αποσκευή. Luggage. Ταξιδεύω με αποσκευές. Travel with luggage. Ταξιδεύω με αποσκευές. Επίδεσμος. Bandage. Επίδεσμος. Επίδεσμος. Bandage. Τυλίγω με επίδεσμο. Wrap with bandage. Τυλίγω με επίδεσμο. Ασθενής. Patient. Ασθενής. Ασθενής. Patient. Ο ασθενής είναι πολύ άρρωστος. The patient is very sick. Ο ασθενής είναι πολύ άρρωστος. Τμήμα. Department. Τμήμα. Τμήμα. Department. Τμήμα Marketing. Marketing Department. Τμήμα Marketing. Λογιστής. Accountant. Λογιστής. Λογιστής. Accountant. Λογιστής με άδεια ασκήσεως επαγγέλματος. Licensed accountant. Λογιστής με άδεια ασκήσεως επαγγέλματος. Δικηγόρος. Lawyer. Δικηγόρος. Δικηγόρος. Lawyer. Δικηγόρος σε δικαστήριο. Lawyer in a courtroom. Δικηγόρος σε δικαστήριο. Ορομίσθιο. Wage. Ορομίσθιο. Ορομίσθιο. Wage. Κατώτατο ορομίσθιο. Minimum wage. Κατώτατο ορομίσθιο. Πιάνο. 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 Πιάνο με ουρά. Grand piano. Πιάνο με ουρά. Αριθμός πτήσης. Flight number. Αριθμός πτήσης. Αριθμός πτήσης. Flight number. Αριθμός πτήσης 345. Flight number 345. Αριθμός πτήσης 345. Γεωργία. Agriculture. Γεωργία. Γεωργία. Agriculture. Η γεωργία είναι ένας σημαντικός τομέας στην Ελλάδα. Agriculture is an important sector in Greece. Η γεωργία είναι ένας σημαντικός τομέας στην Ελλάδα. Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. First, you'll hear a word or phrase in English. Respond in Greek, then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say luggage? Αποσκευή. Αποσκευή. And how to say bandage? Επίδεσμος. Επίδεσμος. What about patient? Ασθενής. Ασθενής. Do you remember how to say department? Τμήμα. Τμήμα. Let's try accountant. Λογιστής. Λογιστής. What about lawyer? Δικηγόρος. Δικηγόρος. Now let's see if you remember how to say wage. Ορομίσθιο. Ορομίσθιο. Another one. What about piano? Piano. Piano. Do you remember how to say flight number? Αριθμός πτήσης. Αριθμός πτήσης. And finally, do you remember how to say agriculture? Γεωργία. Γεωργία. Well done. See you next time. Addio. Hi everybody, my name is Chrissy. Welcome to the 2000 Core Greek Words and Phrases video series. Its lesson will help you learn new words, practice, and review what you've learned. Okay, let's get started. First is μόλυνση. Infection. Μόλυνση. Μόλυνση. Infection. Δερματική μόλυνση. Skin infection. Δερματική μόλυνση. Γρίπη. Flu. Γρίπη. Γρίπη. Flu. Εποχή γρίπης. Flu season. Εποχή γρίπης. Τρομπέτα. Trumpet. Τρομπέτα. Τρομπέτα. Trumpet. Μαθήματα τρομπέτας. Trumpet lessons. Μαθήματα τρομπέτας. Πύλη αναχώρησης. Departure gate. Πύλη αναχώρησης. Πύλη αναχώρησης. Departure gate. Πύλη αναχώρησης 43. Departure gate 43. Πύλη αναχώρησης 43. Κοινωνιολογία. Sociology. Κοινωνιολογία. Κοινωνιολογία. Sociology. Μελέτη της κοινωνιολογίας. Study of sociology. Μελέτη της κοινωνιολογίας. Αεροσυνοδός. Flight attendant. Αεροσυνοδός. Αεροσυνοδός. Flight attendant. Γυναίκα αεροσυνοδός. Female flight attendant. Γυναίκα αεροσυνοδός. Θέση. Seat. Θέση. Θέση. Seat. Αεροπορική θέση. Airplane seat. Αεροπορική θέση. Ιατρική. Medicine. Ιατρική. Ιατρική. Medicine. Πεδίο της ιατρικής. Field of medicine. Πεδίο της ιατρικής. Οικονομική θέση. Economy class. Οικονομική θέση. Οικονομική θέση. Economy class. Έκλεισα εισιτήριο στην οικονομική θέση. I booked an economy class ticket. Έκλεισα εισιτήριο στην οικονομική θέση. Πτήση. Flight. Πτήση. Πτήση. Flight. Κάρτα επιβίβασης για την πτήση. Boarding pass for the flight. Κάρτα επιβίβασης για την πτήση. Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. First you will hear a word or phrase in English. Respond in Greek, then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say infection? Μόλυνση. Μόλυνση. And how to say flu? Γρίπη. Γρίπη. What about trumpet? Τρομπέτα. Τρομπέτα. Do you remember how to say departure gate? Πύλη αναχώρησης. Πύλη αναχώρησης. Let's try sociology. Κοινωνιολογία. Κοινωνιολογία. What about flight attendant? Αεροσυνοδός. Αεροσυνοδός. Now let's see if you remember how to say seat. Θέση. Θέση. Another one. What about medicine? Ιατρική. Ιατρική. Do you remember how to say economy class? Οικονομική θέση. Οικονομική θέση. And finally, do you remember how to say flight? Πτήση. Πτήση. Well done. See you next time. Addio.
Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Greek ebook before it's gone.